Ambassador Cathex's translator implant identified the sound interrupting the Armistice Council as Juvenile Apex Predator Territorial Challenge, and the human liaison just muted herself to say, "No, Sebastian, we don't eat the microphone." The vote counter froze at 47 seconds. 50 years of war between three species, and the final armistice vote was being delayed by what sounded like something trying to murder someone through an audio channel. "Command, this is Cathex." The Vryn ambassador's antennae flattened against their carapace. "We have a security breach on the human channel, requesting immediate..." Another roar. Louder this time, deep enough to rattle the subharmonic receivers. Every biological threat assessment system in the council chamber activated simultaneously. Commander Jal's combat implant flooded his bloodstream with defensive pheromones. The luminary observers dimmed to near invisibility. 3 junior ambassadors evacuated their chambers entirely. "Sorry about that." The human's video feed flickered back on. Jenna appeared on screen with something small and golden chewing on her hair. "The kids are cranky today. Where were we?" "Where were we?" Cathex's translator struggled with the volume of their screech. "Human Jenna, you have an active predator in your diplomatic station." "What? Oh." Jenna glanced at the thing attached to her head. "You mean Sebastian? He's not..." "Security Protocol Alpha 9. Commander Jal's spinal ridge extended fully. "All stations, we have confirmed predator activity on human channel. Human liaison may be under duress. Activate rescue." "Nobody's activating anything." Jenna carefully extracted the small creature from her hair and held it up to the camera. "He's 8 weeks old. Look at him." The thing in her hands opened its mouth and produced another sound that translated across every species threat database as "run." Cathex triggered their emergency exoskeleton. "Human Jenna, that organism registers as an apex predator. Our xenobiology database identifies it as a lion, adult mass 200 kilograms, bite force 114 newtons, responsible for..." "Yeah, adult lions are pretty serious." Jenna scratched the thing under its chin. It made a rumbling sound that caused the Scarix delegation's weapons to auto-target. "But Sebastian here weighs maybe 4 kilos. He's a baby." "A baby." Jal's secondary eyelids closed. "A juvenile apex predator." "Well, yeah. His mom was killed by poachers, so I'm fostering him and his siblings until the wildlife sanctuary can pick them up next week." Jenna shrugged. "It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal?" Cathex's translator was definitely malfunctioning now. "You are housing multiple..." A crash echoed through the audio feed, followed by 2 more roars in harmony. "Oh, for the love of..." Jenna disappeared from frame. "Apollo! Nala! Get out of the supply closet!" The council chamber descended into chaos. Senior Counselor Xvera materialized fully, their energy form pulsing urgent orange. "How many of these predators are present?" "Just 3. Jenna's voice came from somewhere off-screen, accompanied by scuffling sounds. "They figured out how to open the bathroom door. Hold on." War Chief Tizara, who had been leading the opposition to the armistice, leaned forward in her chamber. "This is absurd. We are voting on the most critical peace treaty in galactic history, and the human representative is being attacked by her own pets." "They're not attacking me. They're playing." Jenna reappeared, now holding 2 more golden creatures. One was chewing on her sleeve. "Can we please just finish the vote? This is literally about preventing a war that's killed millions." "The human requests we continue while surrounded by apex predators," Cathex said slowly. "As if this is normal behavior." "It is normal." Jenna looked genuinely confused. "They're cubs, baby animals. Have none of you ever fostered orphaned wildlife?" "We do not cohabitate with species capable of killing us," Jal said flatly. "Really? That's..." Jenna paused as the creature called Sebastian climbed onto her shoulder and roared directly into the microphone. "Okay, that was rude. Sebastian, inside voice." The cub made a smaller sound that still triggered 17 different alarm protocols. "Better?" Jenna said, as if praising a child. "Anyway, Commander, you were saying something about Clause 7. Xvira's form pulsed rapidly through several colors that translated as pure confusion. The human is conducting diplomatic negotiations while manually restraining 3 juvenile apex predators. I'm not restraining them, I'm holding them. There's a difference. Jenna adjusted her grip as one cub tried to climb her face. They're affectionate. Look, can we just vote? I need to feed them in 20 minutes, and that's going to be way louder than this. Louder? Kithex's antennae curled completely backward. Those vocalizations already exceed our maximum recommended threat levels. Yeah, they've got great lungs for their age. Jenna sounded proud. The sanctuary thinks Sebastian might be a late developer, so the extra vocal strength is actually a really good sign for his... We are discussing an armistice, Tazara interrupted, her own translator sharp with frustration. 50 years of warfare, hundreds of millions dead, and you are discussing the lung capacity of your predator. Jenna's expression shifted. The casual humor dropped from her voice. I'm aware of what we're discussing, War Chief. I read the casualty reports. All of them. That's exactly why I'm asking we move forward with the vote instead of panicking about 3 orphan babies who can't even hunt insects yet. The cub on her shoulder, Sebastian, chose that moment to lose his balance and tumble down her back. She caught him without looking, one-handed, while maintaining eye contact with the camera. Vote continues in 10 seconds, Sarah announced, their form stabilizing to authoritative violet. All delegates confirm presence. Confirmed, Kathek said, still staring at the human holding apex predators like they weighed nothing. Confirmed, Jal added, his combat implant still screaming warnings about the audio patterns. Confirmed. Tazara's voice was tight, though I formally protest these conditions. Protest noted. Jenna shifted the cubs in her arms. One started purring, a sound that caused the Vryn delegation's translator to display. Error, contradiction, threat display, combined with pleasure signaling. Can we please just do this? They're getting hungry and cranky, which means they're about to get really loud. Louder than extinction-level threat vocalizations, Kathex asked. You have no idea. Jenna smiled grimly. Vote clock is at 15 seconds, people. Let's make history or whatever. The vote counter resumed. The 3 lion cubs chose that exact moment to start wrestling with each other in Jenna's lap, their play fighting producing a symphony of sounds that made every species in the council want to flee to their home planets immediately. The human just sighed and reached for a bottle while the galaxy's future hung in the balance. The vote passed. Barely. 41 in favor, 39 opposed, with 12 abstentions based solely on inability to concentrate during active predator event. Armistice is approved pending implementation protocols, Xvira announced, their form flickering with what might have been relief or exhaustion. We will reconvene in 2 hours to discuss Row! Rawr! 3 cubs in perfect harmony, each trying to outvolume the others. Right, sorry, that's my cue. Jenna stood, juggling all 3 lion cubs. I really do need to feed them. They get bitey when they're hungry. Bitey. Commander Jal's translator processed the word 3 times. The apex predators become more dangerous when hungry. Well, yeah, wouldn't you? Jenna was already walking away from the camera, her voice distant. Sebastian, that's my finger, not food. We've discussed this. Kathex pulled up the xenobiology database with shaking antennae. Commander, I am reviewing Earth predator classifications. These lions are listed as having a bite force sufficient to crush bones, and she just said one is biting her. Jal's spinal ridge was still fully extended. While she walks, carrying all 3. Maybe it's a dominance display, Tazara suggested, though her own threat assessment was flashing critical warnings. Humans establish hierarchy through pain tolerance. Nobody's establishing anything, Jenna's voice called back. He's teething. It doesn't even hurt. On screen, her diplomatic station was visible but empty. They could hear her moving around, the clinking of bottles, the strange rumbling sounds the cubs made. Human Jenna. Xvera's form pulsed with academic curiosity. Please return to visual range. We require clarification on your species' survival. Mechanisms. Hang on, I've only got 2 hands. More clinking. Okay, I'm putting you on the counter. Everyone stay. Jenna reappeared, now holding 3 bottles. Behind her, the 3 cubs sat in a row, watching her with enormous eyes. Are they obeying you? Cathex leaned closer to their screen. They're 8 weeks old, not feral. Jenna knelt down and started bottle feeding Sebastian. They know stay and no, and stop chewing the furniture. You trained apex predators to follow commands. I trained babies to not destroy my stuff, yeah. Jenna switched to feeding Nala. Same thing you'd do with any young animal. Consistency and treats. Jal activated his military analysis protocol. Commander's log. Human demonstrates command authority over multiple juvenile apex predators. Predators show pack behavior and respond to vocal cues. Threat level assessment. Recalculating. They're not a threat, Jenna laughed. Apollo, don't push your brother. There's enough for everyone. The cubs were feeding now, the bottles clutched in their oversized paws. The rumbling sound intensified. What is that sound? Tazara demanded. Our sensors register it as a warning vibration. That's purring. It means they're happy. Jenna's expression softened as she watched them. Sebastian purrs the loudest. He's very food-motivated. Happiness sounds like a threat display. Cathex's worldview was cracking in real time. Nothing about human behavior patterns makes sense. Look, I don't know what to tell you. Jenna stood, wiping formula from her hands. They're babies. They eat, they sleep, they play, they make noise. That's what babies do. But they're designed to kill. Jal couldn't look away from the screen. Adult specimens hunt in packs, coordinate attacks, bring down prey 3 times their size. Yeah, in like 2 years. Right now, they can barely coordinate their back legs. As if to demonstrate, Sebastian finished his bottle and immediately fell over trying to walk. See? The mighty apex predator rolled onto his back, paws in the air, making small mewing sounds. It's showing its vulnerable areas. Xvera's form turned confused purple. That's surrender behavior. That's my belly is full and I'm sleepy behavior. Jenna picked up Sebastian and kissed his fuzzy head. You guys never had pets. We don't cohabitate with predators, Cathex repeated weakly. Your loss. They're excellent company. Jenna settled back into her chair. Sebastian draped across her lap like a very heavy purring scarf. So, implementation protocols? The council stared in collective silence as the human prepared to discuss galactic policy while being used as furniture by something that would eventually grow large enough to eat her. Before we proceed, Tazara interrupted, I am calling for expert testimony. This situation requires xenobiological assessment. Oh, come on. Jenna shifted Sebastian to a more comfortable position. We literally just voted on the most important treaty in modern history. Can we please focus? We cannot establish peace protocols with a species we do not understand. Tazara's mandibles clicked decisively. Senior Counselor, I request a full environmental scan of the human station. Xvera pulsed reluctant agreement. Initiating deep scan. Human Jenna, please remain stationary. Sure, whatever. Jenna pulled up the treaty implementation documents on her secondary screen. I'm reading Clause 4 while you do your thing. The scan results appeared across every council display simultaneously. Cathex read them aloud, antennae trembling. 3 juvenile apex predators. Combined mass, 12.4 kilograms. Projected adult mass, 600 kilograms. Bite force potential, 342 newtons. Current restraint systems detected, 0. Current weapon systems detected, 0. Current protective barriers, 0. Wait. Commander Jal leaned forward. 0 containment fields? They're in the bathroom, Jenna said without looking up from her reading. Well, they were. Now they're out here with me. The bathroom. Jal's combat implant was attempting to calculate threat scenarios and failing. You restrain apex predators with a door. I don't restrain them at all. They just hang out. Jenna glanced at the screen. Is this going somewhere? Because Clause 4 has some issues we need to address before... Sebastian, still draped across her lap, yawned. His mouth opened wide enough to show rows of developing teeth. Every alarm in Cathex's chamber activated. Threat display! The Predator is showing weapons! He's yawning, Cathex. He just ate. Jenna scratched behind Sebastian's ears. You yawn when you're sleepy, right? We do not have teeth like that. Well, no, you've got mandibles. Different evolutionary path. Jenna finally looked at the camera, genuine confusion on her face. Are you guys seriously this freaked out about lion cubs? Have you seen the files on Earth predators? We have extensive files, Tizara said coldly. They list hundreds of species capable of killing adult humans. Bears, crocodiles, hippopotami, venomous serpents. Your own planet is a death world. Sure, if you're stupid about it. Jenna shrugged, disturbing Apollo, who had climbed onto her shoulder. But mostly we just coexist? Coexist. Exavera's form flickered through several colors of disbelief. With creatures that hunt you. Sebastian's not hunting me. None of them are. Jenna held up the cub. Look at him. He's basically a fuzzy potato with teeth. A potato that will grow to 200 kilograms and require 5 kilograms of meat daily. Joel read from his database. Humans keep these as companions? Some people do, yeah. Not legally in most places, but... Jenna paused. Wait, we're getting off track. These 3 aren't companions, they're foster rescues. Temporary care until professionals can take them. And you volunteered for this. Tizara made it sound like an accusation. Their mom was killed. Someone had to. Jenna's voice went flat. What was I supposed to do? Let them starve? Nala chose that moment to climb into frame, walking across Jenna's keyboard and sitting directly on her hands. The Predator is preventing you from working, Cathex observed. The baby is being needy. Jenna gently moved Nala to her lap with Sebastian and Apollo. There's a difference. All 3 cubs were purring now, a rumbling chorus that made the council's audio equipment vibrate. They are expressing contentment. Exvera watched the screen like it held secrets to the universe. While in direct physical contact with a potential prey species. I'm not prey, I'm their caretaker. Jenna looked at the camera with something like pity. Do you really not understand the difference? The silence that followed was profound. No, Cathex admitted quietly. We do not. Then let me explain. Jenna adjusted all 3 cubs in her lap, her expression shifting from confused to determined. You wanted expert testimony? Here it is. She pulled up files on her screen, sharing them to the council feed. Images of Earth animals filled every display. Humans keep wolves as companions. We call them dogs. We domesticated them 30,000 years ago. She scrolled through images. We keep horses, prey animals that can kick hard enough to shatter bones. We keep cats, miniature apex predators. We keep birds that can take out an eye. We keep snakes, spiders, scorpions. This proves our point, Tizara interjected. Your species has no survival instinct. No. Jenna's voice hardened. It proves we understand something you don't. Sebastian made a small sound, and she absently stroked his head while continuing. We keep bees, insects that can kill us if we're allergic, that sting when threatened. We keep them in boxes in our gardens. You know why? She didn't wait for an answer. Because we like honey. Because we understand that the relationship benefits both of us. Because we can accept risk in exchange for connection. Cathex's antennae straightened slightly. You're saying this is calculated risk assessment? I'm saying it's trust. Jenna looked directly at the camera. You've been at war for 50 years over a border dispute. Reading the history files, you know what I found? Neither side would negotiate because you were afraid the other would see it as weakness. You stayed at war because admitting fear felt more dangerous than actual war. The council chamber was silent except for the purring of 3 lion cubs. We live with fear every day, Jenna continued. Fear of the things we keep as companions. Fear of the wild things we share our planet with. Fear of each other, honestly. But we don't let it stop us from trying to connect, from taking care of things that need us, from building relationships that require us to be vulnerable. Apollo climbed onto her shoulder and roared, small, squeaky, completely unthreatening. See? Terrifying. Absolutely deadly. Jenna reached up and scratched under his chin. I'm going to give him a treat now because he's teething and his gums hurt. She produced a small rubber toy, and Apollo immediately began gnawing on it with intense focus. That predator is... Jal trailed off. Playing. That baby is soothing his discomfort. Yeah. Jenna held Sebastian up to the camera. This is what you're afraid of. An 8-week-old cub who can't even regulate his own body temperature yet. Who needs me to feed him, keep him warm, teach him not to bite too hard during play? Who trusts me completely because I show up every day and take care of him? Exvera's form pulsed slowly through shades of blue. Deep thought in luminary communication. The human maintains relationships despite potential future danger. That's literally what peace treaties are, Jenna said quietly. Taking a risk on each other. Trusting that the relationship matters more than the fear. On screen, Nala and Apollo had stopped playing and were now grooming each other, tiny tongues cleaning each other's faces. They were fighting. Cathex watched in fascination. Combat behaviors. Now they're showing affection, Jenna finished. Because they're siblings. Because that's what you do in your family. You fight, you make up, you take care of each other. Tazara leaned forward in her chamber, watching the cubs, watching the human. The predators shift from aggression to care in seconds. The babies shift from playing to bonding, yeah. Jenna smiled slightly. Kind of like what you're all going to have to do. Play nice, build trust, take care of each other despite being scared. Jal's spinal ridge slowly retracted. Treaty Implementation Clause 7 addresses fear-based escalation protocols. Then, let's discuss it. Jenna settled back with 3 purring cubs. That's why we're here, right? The vote for implementation protocols passed unanimously. The treaty signing ceremony was scheduled for the following morning. Jenna had requested to be excused from attendance. Absolutely not, Exvera said, their form pulsing authoritative violet. Your presence is mandatory, human Jenna. I have to take the cubs to their feeding schedule at the sanctuary. Jenna was already checking her schedule. They're getting picked up at 0900. The ceremony starts at 0800. I can't... Bring them, Cathex interrupted. Every delegate turned to stare at the Vryn ambassador. I'm sorry, what? Jenna blinked. Bring the predators to the ceremony. Cathex's antennae were steady, certain. They have become symbolic of what we are attempting to achieve. You want me to bring 3 lion cubs to the most important diplomatic event in modern history? Jenna's tone was flat with disbelief. Yes, Jal agreed, surprising everyone, including himself. The war chief was correct earlier. They taught us something our strategists could not. Tazara, who had opposed nearly every aspect of the armistice, clicked her mandibles in agreement. The humans' predators demonstrated trust building between potentially hostile entities. Their presence would remind all parties of the treaty's purpose. They're babies, not symbols. But Jenna was smiling slightly. Though Sebastian would probably love all the attention. He's a show-off. Then it is decided. Exvera's form brightened. The ceremony will include the human and her companions. They're not my... Jenna sighed. You know what? Fine. But if Sebastian roars during someone's speech, that's not on me. The ceremony went exactly as predicted. Sebastian roared during Tazara's opening remarks. Apollo knocked over a ceremonial water vessel. Nala fell asleep on Jenna's lap and snored loud enough to be picked up by the microphones. Nobody cared. The treaty was signed with 3 lion cubs as the galaxy's most unlikely mascots for interspecies cooperation. Images of Jenna holding Sebastian while ambassadors from 3 warring species shook hands, or equivalent appendages, went viral across 70 star systems within an hour. This is insane, Jenna muttered. watching the media feeds. I'm a wildlife photographer. I take pictures of animals. I'm not qualified to be the face of galactic peace. Yet here we are. Kethex settled beside her in the ceremonial hall, watching the cubs play with a discarded ribbon from the treaty documents. Human Jenna, I have a question. Sure. How did you know we would understand? The lesson with your predators? Jenna was quiet for a moment, watching Sebastian pounce on Apollo, both cubs tumbling over each other in a ball of golden fur and oversized paws. I didn't, she admitted. I was just frustrated that we were wasting time being scared of baby animals when we should have been focused on ending a war. But then I saw you all looking at them, really looking, and I thought... She trailed off. I thought maybe if you could see how they trust me, completely, even though I'm not their species, even though they're vulnerable. Maybe you'd see that trust isn't about eliminating danger. It's about choosing connection anyway. Philosophy from a photographer, Kethex observed. Not philosophy, just... Jenna shrugged. Life. You learn things when you spend time with animals. They don't complicate stuff the way we do. We? Kethex's antennae quirked with amusement. You include us in we now? Well, you're all overthinking things and making them complicated. Seems pretty universal. Jenna grinned. Yeah, I guess we. Jal approached, his military bearing slightly relaxed. The Galactic Council has requested you remain as Chief Human Cultural Liaison. They are establishing new diplomatic protocols called, he checked his display, Human Paradox Studies. You would be the primary consultant. No, Jenna said it immediately. Absolutely not. The position comes with significant, I don't care. Jenna picked up Sebastian, who had tired himself out and was making sleepy, mewing sounds. I'm a photographer. I take pictures of animals in their natural habitats. I tell stories about conservation. That's my job. That's what I'm good at. I only ended up here because the regular liaison had a medical emergency, and I was the only human in range with a security clearance. But you changed everything. Ex-Vera materialized beside them, their form a warm gold. In a single conversation, you altered centuries of diplomatic methodology. I didn't do anything except try to feed some hungry cubs and get you all to focus on what mattered. Jenna stood, cradling Sebastian. Look, I'm glad the treaty passed. I'm glad I could help. But I'm not your answer to understanding humans. I'm just one person who happens to think baby animals are more important than being afraid of them. That perspective, Tazara said, appearing from the other direction, is precisely what makes you valuable. Then value it by letting me go back to my actual job. Jenna checked her chrono. The sanctuary team is landing in 15 minutes. I need to get these 3 ready for transport. She didn't wait for permission, just walked toward the exit with 3 lion cubs trailing behind her, Sebastian in her arms, Apollo and Nala padding at her heels like extremely dangerous, extremely fluffy shadows. Wait, Kethex called. Will you at least file reports? Share your observations about human-animal relationships? Jenna paused at the door. Tell you what, follow my photography channel. I post everything there anyway. Conservation stories, wildlife behavior, the occasional rant about poaching. She smiled. Fair warning, I've got a project coming up tracking wild cheetahs in Namibia. They're way less cuddly than these guys. More dangerous? Jal asked. More wild, Jenna corrected. There's a difference. You'll learn that if you actually read the posts instead of just scanning for threat assessments. She left before anyone could respond. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council officially added Human Paradox Protocols to mandatory diplomatic training. The required viewing included approximately 200 hours of footage from Jenna's conservation channel, focusing specifically on human interactions with apex predators, venomous species, and what the catalog called unnecessarily dangerous fauna. Kethex watched every single hour. The training module's final assessment question was simple. Why do humans maintain relationships with dangerous species? Kethex typed the answer slowly. Because they understand that connection requires risk. and they believe the connection is worth it. The system marked it correct. On Earth, in Namibia, Jenna was photographing a cheetah mother with 3 cubs, completely unaware that she'd accidentally revolutionized galactic diplomacy by refusing to be afraid of baby lions. Sebastian, Apollo, and Nala were settling into the sanctuary, growing stronger every day, learning to hunt, learning to roar properly. Nobody told them they were symbols of peace. They were just cubs who got lucky enough to be fostered by a human who thought baby animals were worth the risk. And in the grand scheme of galactic politics, that made all the difference.